just happened right here on the Schultz Report. Jaxson Dart officially QB1 of the Giants, replacing Russell Wilson. Welcome to episode 4 of the Schultz Report, presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. I'm your host, NFL insider Jordan Schultz, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. Fresh off a statement win on Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions rookie sensation wide receiver Isaac Teslaa, the human highlight reel out of Arkansas, joins us today. Also, Hall of Famer Jason Taylor and his son, the young tight end from the New York Jets, Mason Taylor, will be checking in with us ahead of the Jets-Fins Monday Night Showdown. And of course, Keyshawn Johnson will be tapping in to talk playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yes, playoffs. Lock in and let's go. Football's unpredictable, but there's always a few guarantees. Some team will punt on 4th and inches to everyone's disappointment, guaranteed. A ref will blow a pass interference call, guaranteed. Here's another guarantee. Fanatics Sportsbook has the best offer this football season. Every single football game day until October with Fanatics Sportsbook, if your football bet loses, new customers get up to $100 back and fan cash, and can also bet $10 to get $100 in fan cash. No one likes losing, but with Fanatics, you're still winning fan cash. Make the switch and download Fanatics Sportsbook, where every game day comes with a guarantee. Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. MD, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Offer not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app. So after week 1, I came on the show and I explained that week 1 doesn't really matter in the NFL. And I went as far to say that the season doesn't actually start until after week 4. After speaking with some coaches around the league, they told me that around week 4, that's when teams have really found their identity, and that's when they open up the playbook and really reach the next level of ball, especially offensively. Things get a little more exciting. Well, week 4 is here, and the NFL season starts now. So with 3 weeks of tape on the Schultz Report film, knowing that teams are going to unlock another gear, we're talking teams that are already in the playoffs, teams that have work to do, and teams that should maybe be prepping for the draft already. Let's start with the obvious. The Eagles, Chargers, Bills, and Ravens, yes, even at 1-2, following their Monday night loss to the Lions, are already in the playoffs to me. Those are a given. Next on my list, we have the Colts. Now, before the season, we sat down exclusively with Daniel Jones. Yes, the man they're now calling Indiana Jones. I think we might have created that nickname, but who's to say? And he told us that this was really a team that was ready to deliver. And it's the first time since 2009 that the Colts have not only won to start the season, but gone 2-0. They're now 3-0, and I want to talk about it. You have DJ playing, I would dare to say, at an MVP caliber level. He has not turned the ball over once. Think about that. No turnovers from your quarterback. You have Michael Pittman Jr. playing at a very high level as well. Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, the man who makes big plays every single week. And then the real X factor to me, Tyler Warren, the rookie tight end out of Penn State who fell into their laps at 14 and has delivered on that promise. Looks a lot like Rob Gronkowski going up the seam. He made a great block on a big-time run for JT that ultimately sealed Indianapolis' win. And that's really what separates Tyler Warren. He is an all-encompassing tight end. He played fullback on that play. And then I mentioned Jonathan Taylor because there is not a running back in the NFL playing better football than JT right now. He leads the league in rushing. He has been an absolute menace out of the backfield, both as a runner and as a catcher. And with the way he can close a game from a physicality standpoint, you now really have an entire offense clicking. Defensively, the pass rush has also started to really click. So I just really like what I'm seeing from the Colts. Next up, we have the Buccaneers. 3-0, Todd Bowles. Hell of a job so far. Baker Mayfield continues to lead comebacks. They have now won all 3 games in the fourth quarter. Comeback win again against the Jets, this time on the final drive, much like we saw Monday night the previous week against the Texans. And what I love about Baker Mayfield is how versatile he is as a quarterback. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily think of him as a runner, as an elite athlete, but the way he extends plays. We've talked a lot on this show about quarterbacks and how you want to manipulate the pocket and run to throw. So you're extending a play, you're creating some time, some leverage to make a throw. That's what Baker does so well. Now, don't get me wrong. He will scramble. He will make plays with his legs. But he is super accurate on the run. And we've seen that now to Emeka Egbuka. We've seen that with Mike Evans. We will see that sooner than later with Chris Godwin, who's tracking sooner than later to play. And we also have a dynamic running game with Bucky Irving, second-year man out of Oregon, Rachaad White. They just have a lot of pieces offensively, and I think they have one of the more underrated corners in football in Jamel Dean. So if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you feel great about where you're at, even better because that division, the NFC South, seems to me to be up for the taking if you're the Bucs. And now after a major statement on Monday Night Football in Baltimore, tough place to play, let's talk Detroit Lions, MCDC, Dan Campbell. Seems like a long time ago that Detroit went to Lambeau Field, really struggled week one. The offense was really not the offense we've expected. In the last 2 weeks, they've been nothing short of sensational, hanging a 40 spot on Baltimore Monday night. Jahmyr Gibbs got loose. David Montgomery, well over 100 yards, couple tugs as well. The passing game, Jared Goff. Now, if you go back to what we heard from Dan Campbell in the preseason, we sat down with him in Detroit. He really said point blank that Jared Goff has taken a big step.
I even feel like this camp, he's grown more. You know, he's matured, he's grown more. There's things that he's picking up on even faster than he did last year, you know, and so that's
just little things that
awesome.
Can make a big difference.
Yeah, you know, he's unbelievable.
Terrion Arnold, their standout corner, said the same thing. Jared Goff's gotten even better, more comfortable. Give a lot of credit to him, the offense, but also the defense. Calvin Shepard, the first-year DC, got promoted, and when the Lions needed to make stops against Baltimore, against Lamar Jackson, they did. You can look at the yardage and the points and say, I need more. I would disagree. I think the way the Lions defense played when it really mattered the most on the road against arguably the best offense, best quarterback in football, absolutely impressive. So Detroit now 2-1. They got the Browns week 4, potentially moving to 3-1. And it's really only a matter of time, too, before we really start to see Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta get going as well. Because you've already seen Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those two will really get clicking. They have a tough stretch, absolutely. But make no mistake, Detroit looks exactly like the team we hope to see this season. And lastly, the Chiefs. Yes, the 1-2 Chiefs are already in the playoffs. Now, you might say, Jordan, you're nuts, you're crazy. How could you say that? I really liked what I saw week 3 against the Giants Monday night. If you think about what that Giants offense did against Dallas week 2, Russell Wilson went for 450-plus yards. Malik Neighbors went crazy. The Chiefs limited all of that. Steve Spagnuolo really found his rhythm once again. The pass rush was clicking. So that tells me that the defense is starting to click up. The reason that's so important is they do have a tough stretch. They do have Lamar Jackson in Baltimore coming to Arrowhead week 4, like we said. But then offensively, Patrick Mahomes now has just a few more weeks before he gets Rashee Rice back. If you go back to last season, Rashee Rice, before the injury, was on pace for almost 2,000 yards. I think he was like 1,800 yards, 12 touchdown pace. Ultimately gets hurt. He will be back, and he is 100% healthy. He's actually already in the building now. He can practice coming off the suspension. Then you have Xavier Worthy coming back, who's now missed 2 games after really missing the first game as well. He go back to Brazil, gets hurt in that friendly fire incident with Travis Kelce. So if you're KC, if you can find a way to beat Baltimore at home, now you're 2-2. Now you got a win streak. You get Rice coming back. You get Worthy coming back. Sooner than later, hopefully, Jalen Royals, the rookie out of Utah State. Patrick Mahomes gets rolling. And suddenly, I don't look so crazy after picking KC to go back to the Super Bowl. Now, there are a bunch of teams that still have some work to do, but if their next level of play is what I think it could be, they'll be in the playoffs too. Those teams are the Seahawks, Rams, and Green Bay. Now, if you remember, I predicted a Green Bay versus Chiefs Super Bowl, and I still stand by that, even after the Packers' shocking loss to the Browns. Now, I believe in the Pack, and here's why. You have a big-time head coach in Matt LaFleur. Now, you'll say to me, Jordan, what happened against the Browns? This really has been the one bugaboo for LaFleur during his tenure in Green Bay. He has been known to have some odd losses here and there. This would qualify as an odd loss, going to Cleveland and simply laying a total egg. But you're going to get right Sunday night against the Cowboys. Micah Parsons is going to go crazy. Ultimately, if you're the Packers, you have an elite quarterback in Jordan Love, an elite running game with Josh Jacobs, an offensive line that I believe is a top 10 unit as long as Zach Tom is healthy, and most importantly, a defense that is going to attack. That pass rush is lethal. You consider the linebackers who we've highlighted, the corners who we've talked about. This is a complete football team, and as good as the NFC North is, if Green Bay is able to stay healthy, there's absolutely no reason why the Pack can't make a run to the big game. And then I have the Broncos, Commanders, and the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars are 2-1, and they've done that without really featuring Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Think about that. They're 2-1 without featuring two of their best players. And this isn't a criticism. This is sometimes how things happen, especially with a first-year head coach and Liam Cohen, who I absolutely love and I believe is going to be a great head coach in this league. He's an offensive guru. You've already started to see a little bit of the progression for Trevor Lawrence. That's going to have even more effects throughout the season. Travis Hunter, when he gets the ball in the hands, is already showcasing elite weaponry. You can't tackle him. They will get him the football more. And then there's BTJ, who set all kinds of rookie records last year, hasn't quite delivered yet. It's only a matter of time. He's immensely talented. Again, he has a new coach, new coordinator. It will happen. And then you have Travis Etienne, who was on the trade block, but he really wasn't. But that was like the prevailing notion throughout preseason that, oh, you could go get Travis Etienne. They never wanted to trade him, and here's why. He's absolutely delivering. Most importantly, though, for Jacksonville right now, might be the defense. They have, I would say, one of the premier young pass rushers in football who's not really well known, in Trayvon Walker. He was the number one pick 4 years ago. He has been lights out, as has Eric Armstead, and as has been Jordan Lewis, their free agent acquisition. He signed a 3-year, $30 million deal in the preseason from Dallas, their corner. I would say right now he has been one of the 3 best cover guys in football. So the Jags are playing complementary football. We've already seen the AFC South is very winnable. That team is going places, and it's very early on in the year. So don't tell me I didn't tell you so. And lastly, the Titans, Dolphins, and Giants should all be draft ready. Yes, the season starts in week 4, but your season's already in shambles. And for the Giants, listen, it's week 4. I said a couple weeks back, it's Jaxson Dart time. Now, Russell Wilson was downright awful against the Chiefs on Monday night. You can't expect Russell Wilson to do what he did against the Cowboys and Matt Eberflus every week. Jaxson Dart, it's week 4. The time is now. There it is, man. I think it's a combination of things. I think Russell, what happened at the end of the game Monday night against Kansas City, where he threw the ball out of the end zone on the 4th down. This just in, future Jordan here. It just happened right here on the Schultz Report. Jaxson Dart officially QB1 of the Giants, replacing Russell Wilson. Here's why it matters. The Giants are desperately looking for a galvanizer, and that's exactly what Dart will be, not only to the organization, to his teammates, but to the fan base. Jaxson Dart, swashbuckling attitude, tons of tools, can manipulate the pocket, big arm, plus the guy downright wins. He won at Ole Miss. He won in high school. He will win at the next level. Brian Daboll, you made the right move. The G-men have a quarterback. So once all these teams reach that next level of play starting this week, our playoff picture could look like this from the AFC. The Bills, Ravens, Colts, Jags, Chargers, Chiefs, and the Broncos. And from the NFC, the Eagles, Commanders, Packers, Bucks, Lions, Seahawks, Rams. Let me know what you think about that list in the comments. My feelings, folks, they're not hurt that easily. Now, you've heard my take on the playoffs. Let's bring in an expert on the NFL playoffs, our resident Super Bowl champ, Keyshawn Johnson. All right, Key, welcome back to the show. Let's jump right into it. Big news of the day here in New York City. Jaxson Dart, I just reported, replacing Russell Wilson as QB1 for the Giants. What's the first thing you think of when you hear that?
If you remember back early in the summer, springtime, this was a conversation that was had. And when will Jaxson Dart take over? And I think I pegged it 5th week of the season. And so you can see it coming anyway. You can see look, all you got to do is spot the body language of
Sure.
players, the body language of the coaches, and it'll certainly tell you how frustrating they can be with the quarterback situation of Russell Wilson. Whenever you draft a guy in the first round with a veteran in that position, the clock is a ticking for that veteran. So, the straw that broke the camel's back, I would probably look at this past game situation where you are basically what I call padding your stats. You're not a guy who wants interceptions, so you decide in a panic move to throw the ball out the back of the end zone on fourth down. Rewind back to the Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith running toward the out of bounds line rather than just heaving the ball in the middle of the field on fourth down and hope that something happens. He throws the ball in the 10th row. And you can look on Pete Carroll's face, but Pete Carroll's like, I just gave him a bunch of money. We don't really have a viable backup. There's nothing we can do. And he goes out and he starts the next week. That will not be the case, as you mentioned, with Jaxson Dart and Russell Wilson.
Does that galvanize a locker room? Let's just be real. The Giants are 0-3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Be
Because
real.
now,
No, I'm saying be real.
so if you're Malik Neighbors, you've been in that situation, marquee franchise young wide receiver. If you're Malik Neighbors, are you happy about this move? Or how does this impact you?
It certainly impacts me because I'm gonna get the necessary targets that I'm supposed to get individually. I'm gonna be able to try to help my team win because they're gonna now want the young quarterback to succeed. So they're gonna put me in all the best positions to help that young quarterback be able to take the next step. If you think about quarterback position in general, right? All successful young quarterbacks pair themselves with a young wide receiver. They all do. Whether it's Joe Burrow and all of a sudden T. Higgins and Chase, or whether it's all of a sudden Josh Allen goes from an early stage of pumpkin to Superman because they get Stephon Diggs and he grows. Everybody, you look at C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins. You look at Dak Prescott and C.D. Lamb. I mean, I could go around the league throughout the years.
Yeah.
When you have a young quarterback, you always want to grow him with a young wide receiver. And this is the situation now in New York with Malik Neighbors. The locker room already know. They're not worried about it. They're like, thank God, what took so long?
Because the players know more than anyone, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, maybe I'm not saying anything, but I certainly know that he's not the guy, right? As a player, I'm like, yeah, he's not the guy. When are they going to make this change? You may not say anything, but you know it's coming. You just know it's coming. And when they left the field this past
The
weekend,
Chiefs, yeah, that was tough.
they knew, yeah, he's probably done.
It's crazy because the dichotomy of week 2, 450-something yards, 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys, and then Monday
And bad
night
secondary play.
Right.
Bad secondary play.
But then Monday night against the Cowboys, against the Chiefs at home,
Yeah.
everything goes awful. And then he throws the ball basically out of the end zone 4 straight plays to end the game. That to me was maybe the nail in the coffin.
And it probably was the nail in the coffin. I mean, we'll never know. They'll never say. But it's self-preservation as well as far as Joe Shane and Brian Daboll is concerned. It really is. And this is coming from me. They've got to figure out what they have because they can now go to the owner and say, look, we were able to run off, three of the last 6 games or something along those lines to be able to sell it to the owners and say, hey, if you allow somebody else to get a hold of this young kid, they can ruin and give us another shot. It's self-preservation as well. Let's not ever forget that whenever you see a benching in a situation where a coach is already on the hot seat, where the flames are coming through, they're going to do self-preservation.
Yeah, I think Giant fans were probably surprised that both Joe Shane and Brian Daboll kept their jobs. And whether or not you agree with it, they went out and got Jaxson Dart, who looked awesome in the preseason. And,
Yeah.
you go with the veteran, you go with Russell Wilson. Obviously, Jameis is there as well. But Dart is certainly the future. One of the question marks you would say to holding off is, do we have enough around him? Is the offensive line good enough to protect him and make sure he, doesn't get hit too many times early? That there's kind of that push and pull. And basically what you're saying is, if you're Brian Daboll, if you're Joe Shane,
Yes.
we want to put him in now to showcase, look, we got one. We got one.
You certainly could have waited to the bye week or the
Right.
Saints or some
Right.
catch a bad team because you're getting the Chargers, right? The Chargers are
Tough
coming in
defense.
nice and Nice defense without Khalil Mack coming in, kind of rolling now. They look pretty good, right? The quarterback looks good. I mean, I know they lose Harris in the backfield, but they got plenty of stuff on the offensive side of the ball. So you normally probably would look toward a bye week or a really bad team with a bad defense that's struggling, much like they are. But this decision was made because, they had to go in that direction. I wouldn't be shocked, and this may sound bizarre or crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if they cut Russell Wilson at some point this year.
Mm.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. Because what happens is this situation, you have a young quarterback now looking over his shoulders. Now what you cannot do and afford to do it. This happens a lot in the National Football League with coaches that get cute, is they yo-yo up and down with the quarterback. You can't bench him. He starts to, let's say Jaxson Dart gets off to a horrible start in his first two starts. Now all of a sudden you say, well, you look at the film, you say, we had a chance to win that game. Now you go back and you replace him with Russell Wilson again. You can't
You
do
still have
that.
Jameis there too.
Yeah, but I'm not messing with Jameis. That's not what we gonna do. I love him too, his personality, but if I want to throw interceptions to the other team, I just leave Russell Wilson in there to do that. I mean, no, it's the truth though. Hey, look, it's the truth. But I wouldn't be shocked if they part ways with Russell Wilson at some point this season, just because you don't want this young quarterback looking over his shoulders, thinking that if I make a mistake, that they're going to replace me again with Russell Wilson. And you just don't want that. You want him to grow now. He's in the cockpit. Let him fly the plane.
Let's go to the playoffs because I still think, and we've talked about this, I still think the Chiefs are a viable playoff team and more when they get Rashee Rice back and Xavier Worthy. And I want to transition to them because they obviously beat the Giants. Have you seen enough right now from Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City offensively? Let's start there. To agree with me, or am I off?
No, I'm not taking them out of the playoffs. They're 1-2. It's too early in the season. You're getting ready to enter 4 weeks into the National Football League. That's about the time where you start to really see if a team is what they are. But I know Kansas City's a playoff football team. They may not be a division winner this year, but they're certainly a wild card type playoff team, unless the Chargers all of a sudden come back to the pack and Denver all of a sudden gets extremely hot where it really becomes jam-packed, because Kansas City is a tough situation. They play Baltimore this week at home. Baltimore's going to be mad because they just got handed the you-know-what by the Lions last night. So it's like it's a tough game coming up. So Kansas City can't afford to lose that football game, and neither could Baltimore. But I see them as a viable wild card team, no question about it.
Who has impressed you the most, Key, that maybe you weren't anticipating? A team like, I look at Jacksonville, I'm impressed. Has there been someone that surprised you?
The Jacksonville Jaguars certainly have stepped up, so to speak. They've done a tremendous job in a division that ain't that great,
No.
right? I mean, it's really not that great. Although Indy,
Yeah.
in Indy's in that division, so that's two teams in Jacksonville and Indy that certainly caught my attention in my eye. But I said again, I'm always right. I said this about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to go to Indy and be the guy. Now, imagine if and we just talked about the Giants for a minute. Imagine if you are Joe Shane and you're sitting there and you're watching Saquon Barkley, and now you're watching Daniel Jones. How about that for a night's sleep?
Dude, I don't even know. Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year, MVP candidate. Daniel Jones, by the way, no picks, no fumbles, nothing. It's early, but he has been one of the best quarterbacks in football. You got to be sick to your stomach. And don't you have to ask yourself and be honest with yourself, is this our fault? Is this on us?
You certainly do. But I said 100% that Daniel Jones was taking Anthony Richardson's job.
Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson was going to be gone in a year from the Indianapolis Colts. That's I strongly believe that, because you could see Daniel Jones had some tools, but when you're in a bad situation in New York, the media's on you, the coaches aren't giving you the best stuff to do, and you wind up looking average, or below average. Now all of a sudden you go to Indy and you look like the first pick.
Good offensive line, good weapons. By the way, Xavier McKinney led the league in picks last year. So all
Yeah.
three of those guys, all three having a ton of success. What did you make of Green Bay losing to Cleveland? Is that a warning sign or just an egg that they laid?
I really think it's an egg that they laid. The circumstances was weird. You could see 10-0 at halftime, Jordan. You're like, they're going to lose this game.
It was a
Or
weird
whatever it
game.
was.
Yeah.
It was I think it was 10-0 or 3-0 or
Yeah.
something like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I said to myself, they're going to lose this game because you have a team that you should be driving a truck over, hanging around. And whenever you let bad teams hang around, you mess around and get something handed to you. And that's exactly what happened to Green Bay. So Detroit has to be very careful. Although Detroit on the carpet in the dome is a different team, but they got to be very careful that they don't repeat the same mistakes that Green Bay did. Looking at the orange helmet and saying, "Oh, it's Cleveland, we're okay."
I'm really impressed with Detroit. They were horrendous week one at Green Bay. They come back, 2 statement wins, but the Baltimore win to put up 40 plus at Baltimore, the way that Goff played, the defense coming up with a couple stops. You can't say enough good things about them. I know
Yeah,
you've
but
known
Jordan, you know what? You know what about Detroit though? That two-headed monster,
the running
Montgomery and
backs.
Gibbs in the backfield running, they rush for 225 yards. Okay, when you rush for 225 yards, you're going to win the game. That's just the bottom line. And when you don't turn the ball over, at a rapid rate, you're going to win the game. And that's exactly what they did. They did to the Ravens what the Ravens did do to other teams. They pulled the Ravens on the Ravens.
Yeah, they ran the ball extraordinarily well. I know you've known Dan Campbell a long time, have a relationship with him. Is there
I still think it was gutsy to throw the ball on 4th and 1. I
4th
don't.
and 1? Yeah, they throw that pass to him,
The corner
but that's
route.
him.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's
But
what
that drove me crazy watching it because
I
I'm a
loved it.
what if guy.
Well,
What
yeah,
if?
that's true.
I'm a what if guy now. What if it doesn't go the way you anticipated it to go? Now all of a sudden Jared Goff is hit from behind for sack fumble. The scoop and score. It's just like, oh no. But then when they got it, it's like, yeah, I'm smart.
But that's what's so cool about him. We had a great conversation with him in the preseason. Spent some time with the Lions at camp, and I actually asked him that. Was there a favorite fourth and 1 conversion, or what is your heart rate like? And it doesn't, as fired up as he gets after, it doesn't feel to me like he's particularly nervous in the moment. And as a player, don't you have a lot of respect for a coach that believes in you that much and has that much conviction, regardless of the situation?
Absolutely. And I've been in a bunch of 4th and 1s, a bunch of them. I've been converted a lot of them because, okay, man, it's a yard. We need to do everything right. It's called laser focus. Everybody does everything right. They block it up, protection right. They give him a nice wall, a nice cavity to be able to step up in. You as a receiver, you run your route precise the way that you normally would run it at practice, the depth, all the things that went well. And Marlon Humphreys grabbed him anyway. So they was going to be able to convert on a holding call anyway because a flag was laid down, but instead they got the chunk yards.
Who has disappointed you, or you feel like either I thought this team was better, or maybe there's another level or two they need to get to?
I would say Houston, the Texans.
Yeah.
I certainly thought they were a much better team. I know Joe Mixon's missing,
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell, Kirk. So they got some players that's out and banged up from whatnot. But 0-3, I certainly thought 2 years in a row winning that division. CJ Stroud's 3rd year would take a bigger step, even more. But they're the one team that I'm like, seriously? Not like really? Like you should start preparing for the draft already.
Yeah, you mentioned Stroud. He was awesome his rookie year. Last year, nobody was pressured more. And then it doesn't look to me like the line has protected him. What would you say to someone who obviously has all the tools, the ability, the mental aptitude, but hasn't gotten off to the start that we know he can?
Just keep chopping wood, man. Just keep doing your deal every single day. You come in, you watch film, you first one in, last one out. You just keep doing your routine, And eventually, if everybody else does their routine, it'll turn. It'll eventually turn for you. Look, the 0-3 in this division, it's still winnable. Most of the time when you go 0-3, 1-3, 1-4, you're probably out of the playoffs. But because of the division, it can come back to them.
Nico Collins last year before he got hurt was on pace for a crazy historic season and then has been a little slow out of the gates. If you're Nico Collins, are you having conversations with CJ or the OC? How do you approach
Oh
it?
my God, yeah. Yeah, we're having a conversation because we're trying to figure out how to get me involved. If I'm the main guy in the passing game, let's figure out how to get me involved. Now, I'm no good to you as a cardboard cutout, standing there like aisle three, one of those cardboard cutouts that they got in like aisle three, where you just standing there like this. I'm no good. So you have to figure out a way to utilize me. I tell
Yes.
you a story before I let you go. I'm playing down in Tampa Bay, and I'm playing for the Buccaneers, and Les Steckel's our offensive coordinator. So I got traded there, two number ones. They gave me a boatload of money, the whole thing, right, Jordan? So Coach Dungy, they were struggling trying to figure out how to get me to football. So Coach Dungy said, "Hey, go talk to Les Steckel, the offensive coordinator." So I went in his office, the office, the windows covered. And so I'm trying to have a conversation with him. So our conversation was, he told me in the end that he doesn't design plays for individuals. It's all fitting in within a system and a team. This is literally what he told me. And the reason was because he was a military guy, so he wanted to come with military tactics. And I respect that. That's fine, but we're playing football. We're not serving the country, and we're not protecting the country. We're trying to get a guy that
Win
we paid
games.
money to football. He goes to me as I said, okay, I understand. He goes to me as I was leaving the office. True story now. He goes, "You sometimes have to jump on a grenade for the team." So I'm walking out and I got my hand on the knob and I turned around and I said, "Jump on a grenade for the team? They just gave me they just gave up 2 ones and a
Yeah, I
bunch of
am the
money for
team.
me. I am the freaking team." But on top of that, though, Jordan, I said, "I tell you what, don't worry about it. I'm gonna be here.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
won't be
about
here,
you."
dog.
No, 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 I'm saying, "I'm gonna be here. I don't know about you." You know what happened? He got fired.
I never even heard of the guy, so he didn't
He
get
was an
another gig.
offensive. He was a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings back like when your dad was born, and
Yeah.
then he was an offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans the year they lost to the Super Bowl
All
with the
right.
Rams. And they fired him, and then we hired him in Tampa. Dungy hired him in Tampa, and it was not a good situation.
Key, what kind of blocker are you? A good blocker, right?
Did you just ask me that? Literally,
Big physical wideout, just give me the damn
I
ball.
I I
Sometimes you got to
I
block.
I I arguably, and I never defend myself on anything because I don't talk about my career. I could care less.
Okay.
By far, Jordan, the best blocking wide receiver to ever play in the National Football
Hines
League.
Ward.
By far. You can go Hines Ward with the hype and all the television announcers and all that if you want to. I'm telling you, best blocking wide receiver by far in the National Football League history. Okay?
Hell no.
History. History. It's not even close.
I'd say top 5.
The best. I'll say it again for you. In the history of blocking in the
Wow.
National Football
Okay.
League. All you
I want
gotta
to
do is
pull
pull
up the
up the
tape. I
clips.
want to find some
All you gotta
video
do
of Key
is I had the same
doing the
conversation.
basic.
I had the same conversation with Shady McCoy. "You don't block your receiver." I said, "Man, all you gotta do is pull up the film." So, we had to pull up the film. And he was
Film
like,
don't lie.
"Okay." Yeah, the film. I wasn't just blocking 5'9.5", 175-pound DBs. I was blocking defensive ends, outside linebackers, doubling down on my tackle along with the tight end and scraping up to the second level to get the scraping linebacker to allow Curtis Martin to hit the hole. A little bit different, but I don't like talking about my career, man. I'll let you do that for me.
I asked, so I appreciate the candor. Keyshawn, you're a good friend, former teammate. Aaron Glenn had an epic celebration. Now, the Jets didn't win the game, but he provided me, and I think a lot of Jet fans in general, with some tremendous entertainment when he did, I don't know what he did against the Bucks. You
Yeah.
saw that?
Yeah, I saw the block field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him running down the sideline. And I texted him and said, "Man, you're gonna tear something."
Yes.
No, it was exciting, but again, it would have been even more exciting had they won the game. It was probably a minute 32 early.
Key, you would have been one hell of a coach or a GM, man.
No, I'm good. I'm so happy with doing the things that I'm doing.
I'm so happy you are too because I get to hang with you once a week. One of these days, I'm going to get your ass out to New York City.
No, we're coming. I'm coming, man. Just I gotta have outside of Jordan Schultz, I gotta have a reason
Hey,
to
I
get to New York.
shouldn't even be in the top 10. I'm an ancillary, I got to go see JS for 10 minutes kind of thing. Not I got to go get to New York because of him.
No, I thought that the Jets would be off to a much better start, so it would obviously give me a different excuse to be able to go watch them play. And I'm still gonna get out there to watch them play. Just right now they 0-3, and I don't want to be around a bunch of
Yeah, let's get a
0-3s.
dub or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, brother. We'll talk next week.
Okay. Same. See you then.
And now let's welcome to the show the young highlight reel rookie wide receiver from the Detroit Lions and the pride of Hudsonville, Michigan, Isaac Teslaa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. You have made such a great impact in such a short time with the Lions. Are you surprised at the level of success you've had preseason now into the regular season?
Yeah, I'd say for me, I kind of went into it with as little expectations as I could, just so, I didn't have all these expectations I was going to be making all these plays. So I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I'm just very grateful for the opportunity and thankful that I was able to make those plays for sure.
You've made a lot of big plays already. Can I ask you to rank your top 5 all-time catches? Could be NFL, could be college, could be high school.
I'd say number one has got to be the Packers catch. I think just the fact it was against the Packers, obviously, the result of the game, I wish it was a little better for sure, but I think just the fact it was a touchdown against the team that I've, not really liked my entire life, I'd put that at number one. Number two, probably the Bears catch. I mean, once again, I'm in the NFL, so it's a little more special than a college catch. And then after that, I'd say Hillsdale in 2023 against Ashland. I had been playing with a cast the 5 weeks prior on my left hand because I broke my left hand. And this was the first game that I had taken the cast off. And I just ran a go along the sideline, and the ball was a little far out in front of me. And I just dove like horizontal and was able to haul in with my left hand and kind of roll like that and catch it. It wasn't a touchdown, but it was close. Number 4, I'd say another one at Hillsdale against, it was either ODU or Michigan Tech. I can't remember. I think it was Michigan Tech. But I just ran a cross route. It was a rollout. Luke Keller threw it to me, and it was like way behind me. So I'm running full speed, and I run back, and I catch it like this, haul it in for a touchdown, put that at number 4. And then I had one in practice in Hillsdale where I ran like a whip route, so a slant, and then whip back out, and I slipped out of the break. So the ball was ahead of me going this way, so I'm running out this way, and I slip, and he throws the ball, and I catch it like this.
Oh.
Right? It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool
dope.
for sure. We almost, the funny part was where we almost missed the clip, the huddle clip, because they started it late. I would have been so pissed if we didn't get that one on film, but we ended up getting like the back half of it, like me coming out of the route.
Because otherwise it doesn't exist.
That's right, and no one would ever believe me.
Well, maybe not then, but now they do. What about nothing in Arkansas?
I had one in Arkansas too, against Pine Bluff, week 1 of last year.
Yeah.
I just ran, it was like a too high read, so I kept it up the middle, and the quarterback threw it a little bit high in front of me, and I just stuck it like that.
When you're making these catches, what allows you, aside from the God-given athleticism, how does it all come together for you? From just a purely football fan's perspective, I see tremendous balance and obviously great dexterity. But how do you put it all together to make these catches over and over again?
I mean, number one, I'd say is just instinct. People might think I'm doing this on purpose. I'm really not. It's just a matter of like the situation of the play, where the ball is. And then like the one with the Bears, I didn't have the ability to use my left hand because it was pinned back by the DB. So most of it comes down to situation, but even before that, it just comes down to preparation. I talked about it in a recent interview. I do a routine with my dad, or I did for many years, like 30 to 45 minutes a day, just doing ball drills. So it really just comes down to repetition. And my dad always told me a quote. I should learn who said it. I really don't know who said it, but the only way I'm able to make those plays in the game is because I do it 1,000 times in practice.
How did that mentality start, or when did that start for you?
I mean, it's just always been my goal to play in the NFL. Obviously, I've had quite the journey to get here, but I've never lost my determination. And like I said, just going through that routine. And my dad worked he was a teacher at my high school. So obviously during the winter months in Michigan, you can't really get out much to go play catch outside. So we go to the gym. I was up in the weight room as much as possible. So there was just so much preparation that went into me getting to this point, and it's just always been my goal to be an NFL player, and especially for the Lions too.
Your father, Mark, was a wide receiver at Hillsdale, was an MVP, I believe. What did you learn from him in terms of the position and just the game itself?
Yeah, I'd say number one, the thing I learned is just work ethic. That's something he's always instilled in me, and something that I take a lot of pride in is my work ethic. And then outside of that, he was just a great leader. And I mean, the reason I love the game of football is because he loved the game of football, and I wanted to be just like him growing up. So whatever that looked like for me, I just wanted to follow in his footsteps. So obviously, being able to go to Hillsdale was such a privilege to him and to I, obviously. So it really just came down to just wanting to be just like him and putting all the work in to do that.
In 2018, Isaac, you led your school to its first ever state championship. And then you made the transition from quarterback to receiver. Walk me through winning a state championship, but also making the move at position.
That was a crazy journey to get there. We were a pretty small school. We had 22 guys on varsity. So
wait, 22 players on the team?
22 guys on varsity my junior year. The journey was crazy. Like, we started off playing West Catholic, who had won 5 straight championships the year prior. And this was our first year in Division 6. We're usually a Division 5 school, but obviously our size kind of pushed us down a little bit. So we went against West Catholic, and then we went against Muskegon Oak Ridge, and we were down 26 points at halftime. You know, we thought the dream was over. We thought it was over with, and then we were able to mount a crazy comeback. And then after that, we go and play Kalamazoo United, who had the number 1 offense in Michigan. We were able to hold them to like 14 points or something like that and have some success on offense. And then who did we play after that? I think Paw Paw. That was a fun game. It was in the mud, in the cold. And then we play Saginaw Swan Valley, who was a powerhouse. That was a crazy game. We ended up winning, I think, like 14-7. Like, it was just a defensive battle. It was crazy. And I think that was really whoever won that game was going to win the state championship, because obviously we went and played Portland to beat them 42-7. So obviously it was a lot of fun to go and win the state championship. I know a lot of people know it was in Ford Field. So I grew up a huge Lions fan, so to be able to go play in Ford Field and win the state championship with all my buddies, all my 21 other teammates, and obviously our coaches, it was just a really special moment.
How quickly after did you realize you were going to have to make the move to receiver if you wanted to continue your playing career?
Yeah, I think there was an opportunity. There were some colleges who wanted me at quarterback, but I just thought with my overall athleticism and size and speed and, you know, jumping ability, and I knew at that point I could catch the ball pretty well. I just thought if I wanted to play at the collegiate level, I thought I was going to have more success at quarterback. So, like I said, it was really just talking to my dad saying, hey, I want to play receiver, and that's all he needed to hear. And he started signing me up for camps. I was going to different camps, working as a receiver, obviously working out with him, doing receiver stuff. He was teaching me a lot of things because I obviously had a lot to learn. Like, going into it, I didn't know the receiver position was so intricate. I really thought it was just go run out there and catch a ball, but there's a lot more to it. So he definitely helped me with that transition a lot.
So you had the FCS offer from Valpo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was that to play quarterback?
That was receiver.
Not a lot of time has elapsed since then. So when you think back just a few years, Isaac, to where you were, not a big 4 or 5 star blue chipper, to now where you are, making acrobatic catches in the NFL. One, how do you think that's shaped you? Do you have a chip on your shoulder? And then B, how much satisfaction do you have?
For me, I just kind of always have that like walk-on mentality, like chip on my shoulder. I'm going to do whatever it takes to contribute to the team, whatever that looks like. And that's just kind of been my mentality. My first year at Hillsdale, I was rotating in a little bit as a 2, and that was really my second year. That was like what I was going to be as well, getting a little bit more playing time. But the guy ahead of me ended up getting hurt, so I had the opportunity to go in there. And then after that, obviously my third year had a big year. And then going into Arkansas, I mean, that's just a huge jump, making the transition from D2 to D1, especially at the SEC level. So there was just so many things I had to, navigate with that. But for me, I just relied back on my work ethic, and whether that was in the weight room, on the practice field, studying my playbook, making sure I knew every wide receiver position. I just wanted to set myself up for the most success. And then obviously you talk about satisfaction. I don't think there's any more thing satisfactory to me than getting drafted by my hometown team. They traded up for me in the 3rd round. I think that's just obviously, I could say it's a payoff, but it's really just the start of another journey more so than it is like the end of another one.
Isaac, can you walk us through the experience of not only being drafted, but also being drafted by your hometown team, growing up a Lions fan, a Michigan native, being surrounded by your family, and then, of course, getting the call from Brad Holmes, from Dan Campbell?
I mean, definitely the most special moment of my life. I don't know if anything will top that moment. My future wife someday might be a little mad that I might hold that above my wedding day, but it was, I mean, I don't even know if I can put it into words really, just how special that moment was, how crazy it was to be sitting on the couch with my friends and family, all my loved ones, and getting a call from a 313 number and picking it up and hearing the voice of Brad Holmes and Coach Campbell and Mrs. Hamp. And yeah, I mean, I talked about it before, but I really don't know a word that they said to me. I was just so in shock that they were calling me. And then obviously when they hung up, and well, even on the phone when I mistakenly said Mrs. Ford. Obviously, it's Mrs. Hamp. Her mother is Mrs. Ford. But
okay.
At that moment, like, I intentionally said that so that everyone in the room knew I was talking to the Lions. And then, obviously, you can see in the video when I said that, everyone in the room just blew up because we all are Lions fans, and we all wanted me to go to the Lions selfishly. So just to have that moment surrounded by all my friends and family, and to be drafted by a team that I've supported my whole life was just... yeah, I mean, incredible.
How's it going? Thank you, Mrs. Ford.
That is so unbelievably cool. Did you have a sense, Isaac, that it might be Detroit, or were you surprised?
So going into it, Detroit, I didn't really talk to Detroit much. I had an informal interview with them at the Hula Bowl and the Senior Bowl. And then after the Senior Bowl, my agent was kind of talking to me, being like, the Lions are showing a little bit of interest. And, I'm getting excited about that. And the next thing you know, my agent calls me. He's like, hey, so you're going to be going to a top 30 visit. He's like, it's with the Detroit Lions.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I'm like, of all teams, the Detroit Lions, like, are you kidding me? I remember calling everyone, all my friends and family, and being like, yo, I'm going to a visit. Like, this is going to be crazy. And my dad's like, can I go along? And I'm like, I don't think so. That'd be cool if you could. So at that point, I knew there was some major interest from them. And then kind of going into or leading up to the draft, my agent kind of gave me a top 5 teams he thought I would go to. And Detroit was on that list. So I knew there was like an inkling of a possibility that I may end up in Detroit, but it was really, you never know what's going to happen on draft night.
Obviously you love ball, but when did you realize that this is actually like my life's passion?
I don't know if there was a day where I didn't think I was going to be an NFL player. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, I had a snippet in our high school yearbook. It was like, if you could play for any professional team, who would it be? And my answer was, of course, the Detroit Lions. But wow. Even growing up, football was always my number one passion. I played some other sports, but I always wanted to be an NFL player. That was always my goal. And, there were times where I wasn't sure if it was ever going to work out. I didn't know what that looked like, but that never stopped my determination and going into every single day with the mentality that I got to work my butt off in order to get to that position.
Give me a sense of, obviously it's early, but the relationship you've been able to cultivate with Jared Goff, your quarterback, and how special that's been.
After I got drafted, he was the first of the Lions players to text me. So I think that just shows he's a great leader. He wants everyone on the team to mesh well, and whether that's helping me study my playbook, pulling me aside during practice to run some routes that we know are going to be in the game plan, after practice running routes with him, one-on-ones, pulling me over to the ones, giving me some routes to run, giving me tips on how to run these routes. Obviously, he's a great leader for our team, and obviously you never know how it's going to go when you're a rookie, how these vets are going to treat you. So I've been extremely blessed to have a quarterback like him to be my leader and help me in this process.
So he reaches out, he says, "What's up, I'm Jared, welcome to Detroit."
Yeah, it was, and I remember screenshotting it, sending it to all my buddies, being like, "Yo, Jared Goff just texted me."
What about Amon-Ra when he hit you up?
Yeah, he texted me too, and man, seeing he's getting a text and like, "Yo, this is Amon-Ra St. Brown." I think he said something along. I talked about this before too on his podcast, talking something along the lines of like, "We're excited to bring you in, and let's go get the Lombardi Trophy." So,
wow.
Obviously, that's everyone in our room, everyone in our team. Our goal is to go get that Lombardi. So, just to know initially, like that's the first thing that's on his mind, I think is pretty cool.
What's it been like developing the relationship with Dan Campbell? We had an opportunity, Isaac, to sit down with him in Detroit, and the two things that stuck out to me the most were obviously his intensity, his love of the game, but also I was struck at how much he invested and cared about the players as people. It's not something you always see, especially at this level.
Even before I was on the team and obviously got to experience him firsthand, I've seen so many clips of all of his post-game interviews and all that stuff like that. But the one that sticks out to me the most was Hard Knocks. I remember watching that. And there was one practice where, he calls everyone up and he's just like, I love you guys, and you guys just need to trust me. You need to trust this process. Obviously, the first year or two there, the Lions weren't super successful, but Dan Campbell's been the same throughout, and he's always had a plan, and he's always loved his players. And just to have a coach like that, be able to lead this team, and he's the same every day of the week. So just to have that consistency and someone that's so passionate about not only game of football and winning, but just about his players, I think he's the best coach in the league, and I'm so glad I'm able to play under him.
We sat down with Coach Campbell in Detroit during preseason and talked a lot about his philosophy on fourth down. And I'm just curious for you, the whole world's watching Monday Night Football at the Ravens, fourth and short. Take us through that moment.
Jared and Dan are just always on the same page. As much as Dan wants to go for it, and everyone talks about that, like Jared, he's not running the sidelines. Like in that moment, we're going to go for it on fourth down. And we knew going into that game and a lot of the games, in order to win games, you're going to need to score points. So we're not going to be settling for 3 points when we have the opportunity with the team that we have to go and score touchdowns. So whether it's fourth down and 1, fourth down and 5, like that's just an opportunity for us to go and put points on the board. And obviously we have so many special teams on this so many special players on this team. So I know a lot of the conversions on third down came from Sam Laporta, and obviously Amon-Ra, and you got J-Mo to take the top off, and Khalif's doing so many good things. I don't think he gets enough love for everything he's doing in the run game. Like he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's going down and digging out safeties. So, and then obviously you see our run game yesterday, just the running back duo that we have, and obviously the blocking up front. We had great protection yesterday, and then obviously blocking the run game. Like, why would we not go for it on fourth down? Like, you get 4 downs, you might as well use them all,
On fourth downs, do you ever get nervous? Does your heart rate jack up, or are you staying the same?
No, I'm good, man. I'm pretty, I'm pretty good. Now, I would tell you I'm good because I know we're going to get it.
Can I get the Isaac Teslaa top 5 receivers in the NFL?
Number 1, I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Love it.
For sure. That's the only person I get to see firsthand every single day, and just the way he goes about his business. And I think, without a doubt, he's obviously talented, but just his work ethic, I got to put him at number 1. Number 2, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And kind of like a 2A, 2B situation, I think Justin Jefferson for sure. Number 4, A.J. Brown's really good.
Yeah.
Nico Collins is someone
Yes.
that's pretty slept on and needs to be in the conversation as well. And then, I got to throw my boy J-Mo in there. There's
Absolutely.
no one like J-Mo. Obviously, everyone talks about his speed, but he's really just been working on his craft, and he's got so much detail in his routes, and just be able to see that in practice. And I don't even know how you guard someone like that, so I'll put him in the top 5 as well.
How would you describe Isaac Teslaa's current drip?
Terrible. It's not terrible.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. I got to wear my tights, and then outside of that, I got the shirt hanging out a little bit, and then I got my wrist wraps. But outside of that, I really don't like to switch it up too much. It's pretty bad. Sometimes I'm watching tape, and I can't tell the difference between me and Sam Laporta and Brock Wright because we're all like wearing the same thing. And then all these other receivers, they got the visors, they got the streamer towels.
Yeah, they're clean.
That's just been something that I've never really bought into, and maybe I do it a little bit because that's pretty on brand for receivers is having drip.
Yeah.
But I'm not someone who I would say in particular has a lot of drip.
How about top 5 on the Lions drip?
That's a good question. I'd say J-Mo number 1 for sure.
Yeah.
I put Jameer at 2. I put Saint at 3. I think TA at 4. And I'll go Demo at 5.
Isaac, what an absolute pleasure, man. Cannot thank you enough for taking the time. We kept you long, and also just loving this opportunity to develop a relationship, a friendship with you, and obviously Jack, and wish you nothing but the best, and certainly always in your corner, my man.
I really appreciate it. You've been in my corner for sure. I still remember my game against A&M and you tweeting out, I was a Senior Bowl riser, and obviously, that was definitely my biggest game, and then it kind of fell off from there, and we went back up. So I appreciate you always being in my corner, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Let's welcome to the show Hall of Famer and 4-time All-Pro, not to mention former Dolphin and Jet great Jaxson Dart and his son. And if you followed me throughout the pre-draft process, I told you one of my favorite offensive prospects to come into the draft, 2nd-round pick out of LSU and current Jet, future Jet great, Mason Taylor. Absolutely ecstatic to welcome in Mason and Jaxson Dart to the show. I will jump right in, fellas, because the season started and both of you are doing really cool things. Mason playing as a rookie for the Jets, and Jaxson coaching for the U. I'll actually start with you, Mason. My first question, really simply, is when did you realize that football for you was what you wanted to do? When did you fall in love with the game?
I think just growing up around it my whole life when I was young. So as young as I can remember, maybe 3, 4 years old, just running around with my brother and sister playing. I think just it was kind of a way of life down there in Florida, and just kind of like literally the way of life of what we did. So now to this point, just kind of like a lifestyle, and just wanted to do it ever since.
Jaxson, when did it come to fruition for you that my son is talented enough to be a pro, to be an NFL player?
I don't think you ever put that in your kids, particularly at a young age. So if I had to say when do I think he could be a pro, it was probably, his freshman year at LSU or something. But, it's, growing up, coming through Little League and high school and going into college, I had a feeling he could be special. He was blessed with the size and the attitude, the demeanor, the work ethic, and all those things. So you just, for me at least, I just kind of sit back and, and hope they fall in love with it, and hope he does what he's happy doing, and I'm never want to be one of those parents that forces it.
So Monday night in South Beach or in Miami, Jaxson and Zach, you'll be honorary captains. Jaxson, will that be emotional for you, knowing your son's on the field as well?
I'm a sap. Like everything about my kids and what they do is very emotional for me. So yeah, it'll be emotional, but I'll be bursting with a lot of pride and very, very, very blessed, very happy for the blessing for Mason to be playing for the New York Jets and have a chance to play right here in his hometown.
How about you, Mason? Or will you be so entrenched in the game that you won't necessarily be thinking about it?
He ain't gonna give a damn.
I'm gonna be excited to get back down there, but I got to keep the main thing, like you said earlier, and preparing this week, and being ready to play on Monday night. So I'm excited for it, but definitely got things ahead of me to work on.
Dude, he'll walk by me on the sideline and see me crying or something and be like, bro, just shake his head and walk away. Watch.
He'll give you a little, like a side nod, dap you up, or what is it?
Nah, he'll just look at me, see my eyes watery and stuff
Yeah.
and red, and he'll just shake his head
Yeah.
like this dude.
Come on, Mason. Pops like
They bust my ass about it all the time. Him and his brother.
We do.
Mason. He's a sap.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Jason, it's really clear that you've taught Mason a lot on and off the field. I'm curious, what have you learned from your son?
That's a good question that I can't put in words, but it's been priceless lessons that I've learned through the kind of person he is, number one. His heart, his compassion, his sincerity, his love for people, the way he treats everybody around him, how hard he works. He's a self-starter. He's very disciplined. He's a lot more organized than me. The list goes on. So I've learned a lot. I don't always like telling him, but he's I go. I'm gonna start crying. I ain't gonna do it because I don't want to hear the bro. But I've learned a lot, and I got a lot more to learn. So I'm looking forward to his journey.
Mason, you're a special young guy, man. I'm really excited for you and what's to come. And I know you're going to have a great career here in New York and certainly in your corner all the way. And Jason, it was an unbelievable pleasure watching you play. And I got to say, as someone myself whose dad was really successful, having and being able to share this dynamic with the two of you is really impactful and meaningful. And I really appreciate you both taking the time.
No problem at all. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And now for my weekly bets presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. Now, these bets are given to me by my team. I have not seen them before, and I'm choosing one bet between the two. So that's the parameters. So we got Bucks plus 3.5 over the Eagles, or the Commanders minus 2.5 over the Falcons. Wow, that's a lot going on there. I'm going to go with the Bucks plus 3.5 over Philly, who had that dramatic win over the Rams. But I like Tampa in a matchup of unbeatens. Then we got the Ravens minus 2.5 over the Chiefs, or the Colts plus 3.5 over the Rams. So that Ravens line, wow, that's a big one at Arrowhead. I'm going to go the Colts, who we've been on, plus 3.5 over the Rams, coming off a devastating loss at Philly. And finally, we got the Broncos minus 7 over Cincinnati, or the Packers minus 7 over the Cowboys. That's the Micah Parsons game. Oof. Give me the Pack, because if you know anything about Micah Parsons, he will be playing like a man possessed, hair on fire, multiple sacks, multiple QB pressures. I like Green Bay, who also comes off a terrible loss at Cleveland, minus 7 over Dallas. And that's it for episode 4 of the Schultz Report. Big thank yous to Isaac Teslaa, Jason Taylor, Mason Taylor, and of course, Keyshawn Johnson for joining us. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you week 5.